right. Hello, everybody. How are we today?
Hello,
I'm
hello.
great. Hi, Ara.
Uh,
Hi, Andrew. Andrew,
Here we
Ara.
are.
Hi, Andrew.
Sinclair meth. What does that mean?
Oh, the Sinclair method? Because
Yeah,
of my
what's
name.
that?
Because of my name. All right. Um, so I'll do my best to be to tell you what it is without making it too long, but I'll give it my best shot. Okay? No,
Cool.
Ara's shaking his head. Look,
I'm
here we
gonna
go.
start the timer right now. Hold on.
Okay, yeah. Honestly, start the timer.
I'm gonna start
I would
timer.
like to know how long it would take.
We only have
And-
3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Starting now.
Okay, cool. Here we go. So, maybe a couple years ago. Well, Art, don't show me the timer. I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous if you show me the timer.
All right.
About 3 or 4 years ago, a bunch of friends of mine and myself, we went to beach camping. I think in Leo Carrillo or something. For real. Okay, we went beach camping for New Year's, and we went with it was a bunch of my high school friends and one of our high school homies and his girlfriend at the time and her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bunch of new people that didn't know us, but we were all camping together. Okay? And one of my friends, how is this even getting there? Okay, so one of my friends
45 seconds on the setup so far.
Okay.
Good
So
start.
one of my friends and I decided, I don't know how we started talking about it, but we were talking about, wouldn't it be fun if we just, every time we're around one of these new people, we just start talking about Vin Diesel movies. You know what? I just live my life 1/4 mile at a time, or just dropping Vin Diesel lines, making references to I don't know, what's that movie, Pitch Black or something, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
What are all the different movies, whatever, all the Fast and Furious movies, Daddy Daycare. No, that's not him, right? No.
Here's the pacifier.
The Pacifier. Daddy Daycare was Eddie Murphy, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the whole point of it was let's just start talking about Vin Diesel as much as we can around these people until they kind of start asking questions why are you guys talking about Vin Diesel all the time, and then this whole thing kind of morphed, and we were doing it all weekend, and then basically we ended up making these people think that we were such big fans of Vin Diesel. Okay, so where does Sinclair method comes in? Okay, part of this is Vin Diesel's birth name is Mark Sinclair. Okay, his name is Mark Sinclair. So we started doing this in this kind of vamping off of this thing. We came up on this thing where it's very Sinclair. It's a very Sinclair thing to do, and the Sinclair thing turned into
You should have said it's Sinclairian.
It's Sinclairian, so it's the Sinclair method. You know how method acting came out? We were talking started talking about how he made a school of acting like Vin Diesel. It's called the Sinclair method, kind of like the My Left Foot guy. There Will Be Blood. Gangs of New York. What's that guy's name?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
That's the one. Yeah.
Triple D, as I call him.
Huh?
Yeah.
Triple D, even though
Triple D, yeah. I like that. Okay.
double DL.
Yeah. So Double DL, I like that. So basically, that's where the Sinclair method was born. So it's a fun thing to do with your friends when you're around new people. Just randomly start talking about dropping references to Vin Diesel and then say, oh, it's very Sinclair. It really messes with people, but it's fun. And then when they're in on it too. So.
But that's great. I mean, you were at a beach though, huh?
Yeah. It was a beach camping.
Can't really do that anymore, huh?
Sigh, alas. No, this was before the quarantine. This was before the virus.
Yeah. But would you go to the beach now? Would you do it? Would you defy the order?
No.
So well, what about then? This is a segue, by the way.
Okay.
You're don't take the bait, Mark. He's leading you somewhere. I'm just kidding.
Leading me?
I told him
Well,
about our secret hangout last weekend.
I'm leading him with six feet distance.
Yeah.
Don't
tell anybody.
No, this is don't tell anybody.
We were very socially.
Are we
distant.
recording?
We were very socially distanced on that, by the way.
The thing that Ara had brought up was the quarantine fatigue that people are feeling. But just kind of what are Yeah, what are
It
your
seems to
thoughts
be
about that?
setting in right now around week 7. People are finally like, all right, I've been good long enough. I'm tired of this. People are starting to go out. Even I saw my mom yesterday. I went to go pick up a package,
Hmm.
and she's like, come inside the house. I was like, Mom, I'm not coming inside your house. It's not safe yet. She's like, we're fine. She's like, I'm gonna go see my grandkids next week. I was like, okay, Mom, you do whatever you want.
Get it, get it, get
Like,
it. Get out.
Seta is getting angry at this point. Seta is very angry. And like,
I believe it.
yeah, so, but I was also telling Andrew that like I feel like this week especially like a form of kind of cognitive impairment. I feel like my reaction time has slowed way down. I feel kind of like foggy in the head sometimes. It takes me longer to like think about certain things or like form sentences. I'm like, is this just because I've been drinking way more than usual? Or is it just because like I don't have as much mental stimulation anymore? Because it's like, yeah, okay, I work a couple hours a day, but then the rest of the time it's just like sitting around doing the same things over and over again. I feel like definitely my senses and like my reaction times have dulled over the last few weeks. So I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I feel like I'm going to walk out of here a lot dumber than before. I'm sure it'll come back after I reacclimate to the outside world. Or maybe I'm just really dumb and this whole thing is just exposed my idiocy
No,
after all these weeks.
Oh man,
it'll come back.
It's a deep topic.
It's like riding a kite. You'll get back into it. I mean, riding a bike. That's
Just
what
like
I meant.
riding a kite.
yeah.
One of the things that I've noticed is that my back hurts so much more than it did. I mean, like it's one thing, like, you go to work and you're like sitting all day anyway, but the chairs that we have at work are definitely, like, I see the benefits of them.
I've definitely come to appreciate that chair. Yeah.
I had such bad like sciatica, like it's gotten so bad that yesterday we were
Sciatica sounds like a town in New York State, by the way. Sorry.
sciatica.
I'm from Sciatica, New York. Yeah.
Upstate.
Yeah. It's a half a mile down from Schenectady. Sciatica, Schenectady. What's the difference?
It's a great name.
Sorry.
Was that sciatic, like we were just trying to like move some things around and I couldn't even like stand up. It was just, I was like, I can't move. Like it's just gotten worse and worse. We do our little walks around the block, and it's just like the legs and the back are just so tight. It's really bad. So that's my thing. Like I don't feel like I've gotten, I've lost cognitive ability. I don't feel that, but I feel like physically, the physical aspects are what's really getting on my nerves. So literally on my nerves.
I don't even want to share now what I'm going through because you guys both seem to be having some negative experiences with this, like Zoom fatigue or quarantine fatigue.
I only have that problem. That kind of thing can go away with some yoga and things like that, right? I don't, which is what I did. I did a 30-minute sesh.
You're doing yoga?
I've been doing yoga for a year. Like I've been doing yoga for, it was about a year ago, this month or something. Kind of got thrown off.
Happy anniversary.
Namaste.
Namaste.
It was a lot easier in the summertime last year, but then with work and like trying to get home and get to the studio and all that, it was kind of a pain. But the thing is, I'm still enjoying things. I mean, I really do enjoy like just like getting up from work, walking around and like getting something to eat, like cooking something for myself, or just like taking it easy or chilling and then going back and just being like, cool. But what's going on with you, Mark? Because it sounds like you're having, a grand old time,
Well, I'm lucky enough where I have like a patio that I look into like the little Chevy Chase Country Club area over here. So I get a lot of sun and birds and stuff. But I was getting a lot of like eye strain. My eyes were getting strained a lot. So what I ended up doing was when I'm not working and I'm not on virtual sessions, I'm not looking at my phone that much. So like, because I'm literally like, I'm sitting outside, I'm exercising more, I'm going for walks, whatever I'm doing, I'm not looking at a screen as much. So my screen time is maybe not down, but the quality of my screen time is different. And when I'm not working, I don't want to be looking at a screen. So it's actually getting me to do other stuff. I'm cooking more, like I'm exercising. So it's stuff like that. And so I stopped doing like FaceTimes and stuff a lot with some friends because it's been harder. Although on Friday I did do my first like group FaceTime in a while, but for me, like my schedule has been okay. Not having to drive to work or not leaving the house as often. I've had a lot more free time. Who knows what's going to happen? Like how long it'll be and all that. So I'm trying to.
Do you think like people are gonna have like quarantine remorse? Like let's say it ends like 2 weeks from now and people start going back to work. They're gonna look back at this period fondly and be like, man, I really didn't take advantage of that when I could have. I was so focused.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
I was off for 8 weeks. I could have done all this shit. All I did around was complain and
yes.
around and complain. And if I could go back, I would do things differently.
Yes.
No, wait, that's how I used to feel about every like spring break. I'd be like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I woke up at noon every day. If I could go back, I would have been way more productive. So I don't know. Everything's relative to the time you're living it, I guess. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say.
This is another thing. I ran out of beer. My Bud Light Post Malone beers, like a couple weeks ago, and I haven't gotten more. And I haven't been drinking that much. I drank a little bit on Friday with my friends. I pulled out some like sake bottle that I had in the cupboard or whatever. I chilled it and I drank it, and that was it. Like I'm not drinking that much either, and I feel healthier because I'm not drinking as much. I had a couple beers at Aura's, and that was it.
You said you ran out of Bud Light?
I ran out of Bud Light.
No, I didn't ask if you ran out of water. I asked if you ran out of beer.
Okay, well, I also finished my Bouliette bourbon a couple weeks ago. I didn't get Bouliette.
But for you, Ara, like, what exactly do you have in your bar? Well, and what about
you guys?
How to drink?
You guys know I'm a very simple man, a man of simple tastes. When we all started doing this a couple years ago, basically the only thing I was drinking was like cheap beer, So, and then for whatever reason, for a multitude of reasons, I decided to stop drinking beer pretty much altogether, and switched over to just like vodka. I was kind of messing with my diet a tad and trying to limit my carbs. But I really like vodka. It's very versatile. So I've been drinking vodka already for a couple of months now. But when this quarantine broke out after a couple of weeks now, I just started to really get tired of having the same thing over and over again. And we really have no bar. You guys have been to my place. It's like I have vodka and that's about it. Sometimes I'll have some whiskey or scotch or something.
You made a great drink when I came to your house last week.
Yeah, and that's when it all started. So basically for the last 2 weeks, Sarah and I have been watching this YouTube channel, and we'll give him a plug. It's called How to Drink. Really great channel. He's got hundreds of videos. And he basically, and really high production value, it looks great. And not only does he talk about making like, standard drinks, classic drinks, but he also does like fictional drinks that are only in like books and movies. So it's just kind of entertaining. So we were kind of inspired. We're like, look, our bar is really, really depressing. We have all this time. So we went to the liquor store and just started buying stuff. And have been experimenting and really just focusing on kind of craft cocktails at this point.
Nice, dude.
And that's where when you came over, it's like, I'm going to make you something. I think I called it a penicillin or no.
No, you called it?
Real drink.
It was the sanitizer.
It's a hand sanitizer. Yeah. And it was pretty good. It was basically like a lemon drop or a kamikaze, like a take on that. But yeah, I downloaded an app, and slowly, every time we go, every week I'm buying like, it's not even so much hard alcohol, although we do have more now. Like, so basically your basics, you got to have vodka, you got to have some sort of whiskey. I didn't realize how important rum was to so many drinks. So buying rum, but not just like white rum, but like golden rum, not spice rum. Spice rum is a scam.
No.
So we even bought some tequila, which I'm trying to work my way towards because I've never been a huge tequila fan. But even less the hard alcohol, really just having the right kind of mixers. Been making our own mix. I made my own simple syrup. So I'm going to experiment with different types of simple syrup. I'm going to make a coffee simple syrup this week is what I'm going to do next. But things like obviously bitters are super important, super delicious. Triple sec. I never realized how versatile triple sec was. You could pretty much use it in anything. Lime juice, grenadine. Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
And liqueurs. The liqueurs are kind of a whole area that I've never really experimented with before, but like Drambuie, things like that, what I'm going to start adding. But yeah, there's just so many things to buy and spend money on, for better or for worse. It's just kind of like, it's one of those things, anytime you have a new hobby, and this is not necessarily a hobby, but it's like there's so many things you can buy. So what to spend your money on, and just having fun. I've been experimenting. I've been having Tom Collins's classic drinks, and then just kind of experimenting, making things of my own. Gin, also very important.
Yeah.
A couple of classic gin martinis last night.
Yeah. I mean, just from what you're saying, I don't notice any cognitive impairment for you, my friend, by the way. Just you're very on point right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's because I haven't had a drink yet today. No, I'm just kidding.
By the way, I don't.
Sorry, just to finish.
Yeah, go.
Andrew, you've always had a really good bar since I've known you. And I've always just been like, whatever. So again, I guess all I'm saying is that like taking this time to reassess, and after this is over, I don't know, maybe I'll only drink craft cocktails from now on. I'll turn into that guy, but I doubt it. I have time and it's fun. And I've never really done that. I've never gone through my bar phase, like, believe it or not. That's what I did.
Yeah, the bar thing, I mean, it's fun. I have a number of different books on just like how to make drinks. And, I think there were a number of years ago where Kelly and I just kind of went through and thought about like, so what are some of the like important things to have in the bar? There was one party that we went to with, it was at Megan and Mike's house. This is a number of years ago. And there was this guy there, I don't remember who it was, but he had like a bar that he brought himself, and he was making these like, I don't know if you would call them just like exotic cocktails, but they were just very different tasting cocktails.
What do you mean he brought his own bar? It was like a case?
Well,
it's like a backgammon set.
Like a traveling bar.
Essentially, it was like a tray of just like different alcohols that he brought. He was making drinks, but like that was when we were introduced to like Cynar and what's the other?
Campari is another good one.
Campari, Aperol, just like these different things, right? Definitely like liqueurs.
We picked up some Aperol. We picked up some Saint Grenadine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so like for our bar, we've had those in there, and like even like Fernet. That's something that Kelly would drink back in like the Bay days.
Spicy, dude.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like a really good digestif. It's like. Even though I'm not a big fan of like the is that funny, Mark? Is the you seem to like that a lot.
I do. I just like the way you said digestif.
Well, digestif instead of an aperitif. No, it's the whole thing about just like experimenting with the different flavors and all of that. But like I'm still at the core, like I've been doing like whiskey shots with like a pickleback, and so I went to the store specifically to buy pickles for the juice. Like pickles are fine, but it's like I want that juice. So
let me get that pickle juice.
Soda, unfortunately, is it's a pretty versatile mixer, but I think there's just so many other mixers that you can add. Right. So like what you were saying, with like
squirt bitters.
The bitters.
Ginger ale is a really good one to have. I mean, some you can do ginger, or even just like ginger beer. Obviously club soda. I use a lot of club soda.
Remember what we did? Remember that once fancy bitter we did, the soda squirt bitter?
Yeah. So Mark came over. This is pre-pandemic. This is like the weekend before it like got crazy.
Yeah.
And he brought over a bottle of squirt, which I guess had been in the freezer, so it was frozen.
Yeah.
Here you go. So I was like, thanks. And I had never actually tried Squirt before. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know there was such thing as a grapefruit soda. But then I went and bought some, and I tried it, and I actually really like it.
You bought it?
I
Yeah.
bought some. I've never had Squirt before. It wasn't like we didn't have it in the East Coast. So when I moved out here, I would see Squirt. I was like, I don't know what that. I don't know. That's like a cheap I thought it was like a Sprite knockoff. That's literally what I thought it was. I didn't know it was a grapefruit flavored soda, but it's actually quite delicious.
I like it. Well, yeah, but Andrew, what happened was it was like the bottle was frozen, and we tried to use it as a mixer, but then only like the concentrated, like sugary, like thing came out. So all the ice and extra like liquid in there was frozen.
The water.
that
So
weird,
it was
that
just
mystery,
syrup, yeah.
the mystery liquid.
Well, that's interesting because like we had Squirt like in the Midwest, but we also had something called 50/50, which was grapefruit juice and lemon lime, and that was really good too.
Yeah, I haven't been drinking that much, man, and it's kind of cool.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, then
you also live with your grandma, so take that.
Yeah, that's true. She loves me.
That's
what you get.
What you're saying then, Mark? I'm sorry, Sinclair. Is that you don't really have a bar? You're just like you're keeping it like healthy, you know? And that's great. That's great.
That's actually what that's part of the Sinclair method too. Actually, you know, you don't want to drink too much on the weekdays. You know that like he only does, for example, in his own movies, he wears like those shirts, but like when it's a different movie,
tank tops.
You have to wear tank tops. You got to pay extra for the arms for the gun show.
Well, I'm just wondering, are those shirts part of his own private stash, or are they afforded to him by the production? Because
I'm pretty sure he has his own fitted ones that are like kind of designed for his like body and stuff.
Because
he writes his initials on the tag.
Yeah. Because I've gone to the store.
Right.
No, I mean, but it's true. I've gone to the store and I've picked up those undershirts before, and I don't look anything like him.
It's always great when you go to the market and other people are wearing those shirts, and you're like, good choice.
It is.
You're rifling through the produce in your tank top.
Yeah.
Well, if you matriculate through the Sinclair method, by the end of it, you would be able to wear a tank top in public. That's kind of one of the many like objectives of the class, because like we all want to do that.
Like
what's even worse,
No, like you could go like to any function. It's like a tank top is good for like a birthday party, or to go to the store, or for a funeral. It's like it just works out. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, well, if you get through the method, then you'll be confident going and wearing it in those places.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, it's kind of like maybe you're not living your best self, or you're not looking your greatest, because it's hard to pull it off. But I'm confident in the if you follow the method that you will be.
Method.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're back. Well, now that you've switched houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I was doing, like every so often, I'll wake up it's usually the weekends. I'll wake up and I'll be like, you know what? I really want to buy a new lens for the camera. It's time, Right now we use like a kit lens, it's like this standard, beginner's lens. And it's kind of like every time like I'm editing something, I'm like, this could look better. Like it could look better. But I never pull the trigger because I'm kind of like, I don't know which lens, because they're kind of expensive. And I don't want to buy a lens that's just like very specific for one type of shot. So I'm kind of going back and forth between like maybe a 35 or a 50 millimeter. I don't know if I should get like a prime lens, just like it's, it doesn't zoom. I don't know if that's good. Hold on a second. But like getting these pop-ups. But the thing is like I'm looking at these different lenses, and it's just like, yeah, some of them like process things better. Some of them, it's going to get a sharper image, and it's just like, from time to time, it's like I really want to get back into like the filming of things, and not just like putting a camera up and just being like, say these lines and like we'll edit it, but just like interesting camera angles and like moving cameras and shots, and
that's great,
like,
dude.
But it's like I'm waiting for this to be over,
Well, you can like practice them in the house. You could order the camera and like practice the angles with your cat and whatnot.
My cat.
I think, yeah. Well, it's like when we come back from all this and start shooting again, it's gonna be all. Andrew was saying it's gonna be all Dutch angles all the time from now on. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Low level camera.
As you were talking about that stuff, it's really kind of like the camera, to put it in the terms of like my experience when it comes to gear and hobbies, like the camera is almost like the guitar and the lens is like your amplifier. You can have like you can have a really nice guitar or bass, but it's how it's going to sound and perform is really contingent upon the amp or lens that you run it through,
Yeah.
And I've gone through many, many different amps, and they all serve different functions, and they're all very expensive.
Yeah.
Oftentimes more expensive than the actual guitar. So
yeah,
I get it. It is super fun and expensive, but I don't know. I think the more lenses. I mean, I know it's kind of like a rabbit hole. Once you start buying one, you want to get more and more and more.
Right.
But I wouldn't even know where to begin, I guess is what I'm saying.
But it is something that in a printer. Okay, yeah, we're in the market now for a printer.
They still exist.
Well,
They still make those?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the printer and the camera lens, that's what we're trying to do.
I gotta say, I was anti-printer for 40 years, and Sarah, I never owned a printer in my life. I had one. It was a hand-me-down, and it sucked, so I don't count that. But I would always be like, whatever. What do I need a printer for? They're expensive. They take up space. I can print everything I need out wherever I happen to be, like work. But when we were coming up on wedding stuff, Sarah's like, look, we need a printer. Otherwise, we're going to spend hundreds of dollars in printing costs. Like, we can just do it ourselves. It's like, fine. So she ended up, we got one, and it's huge, but it literally has changed my life. It's actually really, really great.
Really?
Yeah.
The printer revolution has begun.
Yeah, I never realized how I was kind of just like so dependent on other things or other people to print stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
How much I was printing or not printing because I just didn't have the means to do it, but it does make a big difference. It helps for creative stuff too. Like there's so many things we printed, like scripts or props that we made. And I was like, man, I'm glad I have this because I don't have to go to Kinko's or something to print out, 4 or 5 copies of a script or something. But
sure,
fair enough.
I endorse the printer.
Yeah, the printer's important. I was told that when I woke up yesterday, I was talking to Kelly. I was like, hey, I've been looking up camera lenses, and she's like, maybe you should look up printers like I asked you to.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I could do that too. So I looked up a printer. It's endorsed by Shaquille O'Neal, so it's good enough for me.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah. Well, what's kind of silly is like he's obviously a pretty big dude, and so he's like holding the printer. I'm like, that's not a good way to judge how big that printer is because it's about the size of a matchbook in his hand.
Right.
And it's like maybe get a more reasonable sized person. Well,
yeah.
So that's my camera style. I'm very much looking forward to getting back into filming, and I have a bunch of stories that I'd like to get out there.
Sweet, dude.
I don't know when this is gonna happen. Are we gonna wear masks when we're filming? Probably.
Okay.
So that's fine.
All of our videos will be like surgery related.
Oh yeah.
We'll all be doctors.
Well, this is perfect actually because we could just hide the mics inside the masks.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Now, talk about being creative. It's very creative.
Yeah. Make it work for us.
Yeah. Can I tell you a quick side note on some YouTube stuff I've learned during this? Because you guys have probably seen, I've been just like recording stupid videos of me playing drums.
I love those. I love
classical music.
It's good.
And so like the question was like when I started doing it, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to just use music that is technically, I mean, the music is in the public domain, but the recordings are obviously like they have copyright holders. But I was like, whatever, like, let me just see what happens. So
Right.
first video I did was this just Vivaldi piece that I found, downloaded it, played drums to it. As soon as I uploaded the video to YouTube, it wasn't even published yet. It was still private. As soon as I uploaded the video to YouTube, I got a copyright strike, right? So within seconds, I just like as soon as the video finished uploading, I got a copyright strike email to me, and it was fine. They're like, "You're all good. Don't worry about it. You can still post your video, just to let you know that the copyright holder is identified and is going to be tracking your views." And I was like, "Okay." So this happened
Wow.
every single time, but it hasn't stopped me from publishing videos. And obviously I can't monetize the video. Basically what happens is like, as soon as I upload the video, copyright holder, like it's like Universal Music claims the video and all my subsequent monetary gain, which again, I'm not even,
Yeah, you don't care.
I don't even have enough subscribers to monetize a video, but they're just like getting in ahead of it. So, so all 3 videos have copyright strikes on them, but have been getting really, really good views. And I'm like, I can't even do anything with this, but it's just been interesting because we were always like super careful. Like we never use any copyrighted material, or we've never really had strikes against us as far as Honey Wagon goes.
Right.
But it's interesting because like it hasn't stopped me or slowed me down. But it's just funny to see how quickly they can catch that stuff and like just
Yeah. I mean, their algorithms are like, I mean, the song, like the recognition, the sound recognition, like algorithms they have are like really good, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even know how they do it. Yeah, but so it's been interesting. It's been fun. But it's one of those things where I've done 3 videos. I don't know if I may do like 1 or 2 more. I have a couple songs in mind, but you know, it's kept me busy, so to speak.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
A couple other topics, Mark. Of course, you know, R and I have spoken about these, but we haven't necessarily shared them with you. But one of the things that is happening on May 4th is May the 4th Be With You, which of course is our yearly Star Wars thing. Now, one of the things that I do realize, like, we have sort of talked about Star Wars every single
Cause
podcast.
it's so fun. Cause it's so fun. Everyone loves Star Wars.
Well, sort of, but one of the things I wanted to bring up, there were 2 things. The first one was that I read this article from this guy from writing in the BBC talking about how Empire Strikes Back is just overrated and how it's like it's a betrayal of the first movie. Like the first movie was its own thing where it basically took, you know, this pretty standard story of, you know, like the prince type figure meeting the old sage, meeting the princess. Then there's the rogue who's like, you know, kind of the anti-hero, and then they go on a journey and they save the day, and you know it's triumphant at the end.
Sure.
And wow, that's a really great story. But then they're like, but then Empire basically says, kind of forget about all of that, and here the Empire's still around, you know, bigger and badder than ever. This whole thing about the Force is like they double down on the Force, you know, so like both the good guys and the bad guys, you know, it's really important. The Emperor, who they bring in, which kind of like they barely, in the original version, you know, the theatrical version from 1980, they barely used the Emperor. It was mostly Darth Vader who's running the show, right? And I feel like with the re-edits, they put the Emperor in a lot more, right? But this guy is arguing how it's like Empire was the template for all future Star Wars movies. It's like, oh, here's the Empire version. You know, it's like, oh, it's the dark version or something like that. Was Empire a betrayal of the first movie? Or was it like the breath of fresh air that they needed in order to continue the whole series?
Well, I mean, just thinking about it right now, there was a vision from Lucas on that already, right? It wasn't like they thought about it.
I
No, you
don't
don't
know,
think
man.
so? You don't think so?
I think all of that is. I
No.
think there's a lot of holes in that story because I think that Lucas is um, a competent enough filmmaker, but I don't think he had an overarching like vision of what Star Wars was going to
Yeah.
be. And here are a couple of key things about that.
Well,
The
I mean,
first,
I'm not like a huge fan. You know what I mean? So it's not like I don't have like a horse in the race as much as maybe. But
You're
anyway,
more of a prequel fan, from what I understand.
yeah, you were like pro prequel.
yeah,
That sounds like a hair regrowth.
pro prequel. Oh yeah, but you were saying yeah.
Well, okay. In the version that we would have in Star Wars, for a template, like Luke Skywalker is after and is in love with Leia, right?
Yeah.
Even they don't explicitly show them like hooking up or anything like that in Star Wars, it's
Okay.
very apparent that he is in love with Leia, right? He goes on this mission seemingly because he he's like, oh my god, she's beautiful. It's like that's what drives him. His aunt and uncle being killed, he's kind of like, oh, I have nothing left here, but hey, I'll do this because
Let me go see if I can find that hot chick.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think
I didn't see the last movie, but is it true that it's revealed that
La, 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 la. I haven't seen it yet. I started watching it and I fell asleep. I was pirating the Rise of Skywalker, and I could. It was so bad. It was
we'll
so.
edit that out.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that. No, don't worry
Right.
about it because well,
Comes out tomorrow.
obviously-
It comes out tomorrow.
It comes out tomorrow on Disney Plus.
I'm joking.
Oh,
I was joking too. Ray is not really the product of.
No, but look, I will say this. I will say this. I do think, like most of the movies, whether it's the Empire, like there's like a very like rinse and repeat feel to them, and it is kind of like the same story again. Like like every movie is the same story, just at different times, and they loosely hold together. Like whether it was Empire Strikes Back or The Force Awakens, it's kind of the same story every time. There's an empire in some form. It's always the same kind of motif and themes, and this like it feels like it's a continuation, but it's the same thing. I remember when I went to go watch Rogue One with one of my friends, and literally 10 minutes in, he looked at me, he's like, wait, so they're going for the Death Star again? I'm like, they're going for the Death Star the first time again. He's like, what? Like, cause it's the same thing, and it's the same story. So
but there's reasons for this. People,
sure.
it's like Western music. The tonality, people like things that are tonal because it's pleasing and it's.
Well, this is one of your overall. I think if I had to say it, I'm only thinking about this out loud, but it sounds like this is one of your like Andrew's like long-term like hypotheses or critiques of Western like media and stuff. Is like this idea of like repeating and like same stories. People don't want novelty; they want familiarity. They want to see what they know.
It's the hero's journey. That's all it is. That's why it seems so familiar, because it's the same thing over and over again. Which is why when you watch like an Asian film, like Japanese film, or listen to Japanese or Asian music, they don't have the same traditions that we do. So we're used to having these kind of heroes and happy endings, whereas the rest of the world doesn't necessarily have to follow that paradigm, so to speak.
Right. I mean, I remember when I first watched Avatar, I was like, why do I feel like I'm watching Dances with Wolves here? You know, like it sort of felt like to me. But I mean, in the Star Wars universe, like I don't think it was like a betrayal. I mean, I think maybe this A New Hope, or the first one, I would say is like a prisoner of its success for like the Uber fans or something, where it's like so good and it was so epic and so amazing and so revolutionary, and it created like religions, you know, like it created that people are like tomorrow is a day that like the 4th,
Mhm.
right? Like, so there's always gonna be like opportunities to talk about it, like we do, and like, and people are always gonna say like very like polemic things. Polemic is like a philosophical concept, right? I don't know if you are familiar with that, but yeah, they're gonna say things that are always gonna be like jarring and like intense and very like aggressively in favor of one thing, and you know, and that's what it is. And I don't know. I don't with I didn't read that article about the Empire, but you know.
In the article, the writer even refuses to refer to Episode 4 as A New Hope. They're like, it's called Star Wars. It was called Star
Right.
Wars in the theater. They only changed it later for video release. So
I've heard, yeah. I've actually
all
heard
right,
people.
dude.
I've
Take
called
it
it.
easy.
I've called it A New Hope to someone, and they've been like, it's called Star Wars. I'm like,
Right.
oh, I thought it was called Star Wars A New Hope. No? And it's like, all right, I get it. Like, yeah, I didn't know.
It's already been changed so many times, and that's a whole other discussion. But I will say, lastly, I still think Empire is a great movie. I agreed with some of the points in the article. However, all these new movies have served, or all they've really done for me as someone who consider themselves a fan, is really just show the cracks in the original movies. You go back and you watch episodes 4, 5, and 6, you're like, okay, they're not as great now because now I notice X, Y, and Z, or now the story doesn't even make sense anymore because it's been retconned so many times. So really all it's done for me is just ruin the original Star Wars viewing experience. And I know that's not an original thought. People have been saying that for years, but it really took all this time. Like, even I was willing to like forgive the prequels. They were just like a joke. I was just thought they were so ridiculous. And I've gone back and revisited them, trying to find things about them that I like. And maybe I found one or two little like kernels that I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, but the rest of it's just garbage. But with this new kind of like whole thing by Disney, and I remember Andrew talking to you way back when this whole thing just happened, when Disney just finally bought Lucasfilm, and I was kind of excited for episode 7. You're like, there's no way these are gonna be good. And I was like, come on, give it a chance. But it really just took these kind of new series of films for me to realize that like this is all just kind of garbage now, and I hate all of it at this point.
Yeah, it's all popcorn. It's all popcorn. There's nothing unique or novel. They did like
really just it's exposed the weaknesses of the original movies more so, which I was willing to overlook. But now with these new films, it's like, yeah, all the movies are flawed now to me. So
dang,
that's where I'm at. Sorry,
I don't have quite the same feeling. I do, but there's a big difference because like I think we've talked previously in one of these podcasts. I am a casual fan of Star Wars. I don't, I knew all about Star Wars when I was younger, and I enjoyed the movies, and Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie when I was younger because it was the most fun, and it was the newest one, I guess. But they're just movies. It's not like the basic fabric of humankind. I'm not
sure
that upset with a direction that they want to take a movie. It's like I wish they had done a better job or something. But like watching episode 1 the other day, which took some time to do, I felt that I was mostly just bored. Like there wasn't anything that
Wagon,
was
Darth Maul. Come on, guys.
No, it's
pod
just
racing. That
pod race. Like here's another thing. Not to get off track too much, but like entire sequences that are filmed in a computer are not exciting to me because like part of the thrill of watching like an actual stunt is knowing that people actually did this. Oh, great! Another 10 minutes that we got here. Jesus Christ. I'm definitely trimming this down. The like Road Warrior. It's like those are crazy people doing crazy stunts, and it's like I'm invested in it because I know they're probably not going to show anyone getting killed, but I'm also like that has some like gravity to it, or literally there's gravity to all of these stunts. And in a computer, the pod racing is just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I think there's some differences. Like I could watch I could
That's
watch like a
fair.
Lord of the Rings. I could watch like a Marvel movie and get invested. But those have to do with me liking the characters. Like I care about the characters. I didn't care about Anakin. I know he's gonna live. It's like I don't know, man. It's these problems with like going back into properties where you already kind of know who the character, their trajectory, where they're gonna
Well,
go, and
on that
yeah,
point, one of my students actually said over the quarantine, okay, that he watched all of the Star Wars from beginning to end.
yeah.
The nine like major ones or whatever, not like the solo or the side ones, whatever. And he loved it. He was saying like, because he didn't know, any of that stuff. You know, I already knew that Anakin was, or Darth Vader was Luke's father from The Simpsons before I even saw that movie. I literally
Spoilers.
didn't get the joke. Yeah, yeah. No, like there's that scene in The Simpsons where like he goes on a date with Marge and he ruins
Oh,
it.
Homer's like, who'd have thought that was Darth Vader was Luke's father? And they're like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and everyone's waiting in line the whole time, and I was like, oh, I didn't
yeah.
even know. That's when I found out. I hadn't even watched it yet. So this kid was saying he didn't know, and he watched the whole thing, and he said it was. He said actually his favorite character was Darth Maul. I was like, oh man, like, after the whole thing, you got Darth Maul.
But I mean, even though I disagree, that does show a point where like I had talked with another student,
Right.
and their favorite films are like episode 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, there's an audience for these movies.
Yeah.
There are people that really like them, you know, and like just because we don't, we're gonna die off, and they're gonna continue. So it's like the movies that keep coming out, there's gonna be an audience for them. And even though I enjoyed the Force Awakens when it came out, you know, Ara knows this. Like when we tried to rewatch it, I was like, I'm kind of bored. Like there was nothing about them that I was like, oh, I can't wait to see this scene again. You know,
Force Awakens has Benicio del Toro in it, or that's the Last Jedi? That's the second one, right?
Last
Yeah.
Jedi, yeah.
Right.
I don't know. There are individual things that I like about the Star Wars movies that just came out. But tomorrow on the 4th, you know, Disney is going to release episode 9 on their streaming, you know, on Disney Plus. So
I'll
it's
make
kind
sure
of
to
like
watch it.
it's like, you know, I still haven't seen it. I will watch it, and I'll be like, okay, great, whatever. Like these things don't really, I don't know. It just doesn't. I guess it doesn't really bother me anymore because I've come to expect it. Like all the times that people have taken existing properties and turned them into something else, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, fine, whatever. And we can choose to like not watch them, but they also kind of know you're probably gonna watch it, aren't
You're
you?
gonna watch it. They know it. They know you're gonna watch it. They know it's gonna make money. They know all the merchandising that happened. Like it's a golden goose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Star Wars,
So Ara, tell us, you read the story about Harrison Ford
Yeah, I
doesn't
sent
know
you
how
the
to
story.
fly.
No, so I mean, we talk a lot about Harrison Ford for whatever reason. I mean, obviously he's you know, in all of the in he's in a lot of the major films that we often discuss and cite as being some of our favorites. Obviously, Indiana Jones and Star Wars. So he plays these two iconic characters, but as of late, he's been having a lot of close calls as a pilot.
really?
If you remember, maybe I think it was 2015 or 2017, he crash landed his World War II jet on a Los Angeles golf course.
I don't remember that at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
that happened.
Wow.
But most recently, he had an incident on a Los Angeles runway, not LAX, but it was a private airport. So I'm pulling up the story right now. So in 2017, John Wayne Airport, his Aviat Husky nearly collided with a 100-passenger Boeing 737 as it
Jeez.
proceeded to land on the wrong part of the tarmac. He was investigated by the FAA, but allowed to continue to fly with no problems. 2015, he crash landed on Santa Monica's Penmar Golf Course in his two-seater WW2 military aircraft. And most recently, let's see. He's being investigated now after an airplane runway incident. So he was piloting an airplane that crossed the runway as another airplane tried to land, putting the aircrafts only 3,600 years apart. 3,600 feet apart.
Jeez.
Sorry. Hawthorne Municipal Airport Friday.
Jeez.
This past Friday.
Oh yeah, that just that I saw. I saw that it just happened.
Yeah. So
well, maybe
he's
this
being
whole like
investigated. Yes,
maybe this whole Kessel run and 12 parsecs thing has really got to him, you know? Like maybe he's like this whole thing is like morphed his mind and he actually thinks he's Han Solo, you know? Maybe
he's been flying for 30 years, so he probably does think that. I'll read you this quick this quick part of the story. It says, in an audio clip from the air traffic control provided by the FAA, Ford can be heard misunderstanding the instruction and then apologizing. The ATC said, I told you to stop short. You need to listen up, the air traffic controller said to Ford after he began crossing the runway. Ford said, excuse me, sir, I thought exactly the opposite. I'm terribly sorry, he responded. So,
you know, 'cause I literally saw on Facebook someone had posted like one of those like things like someone stop Harrison Ford.
I know, he's got to stop. He's got to be grounded.
Yeah. Oh, he's a menace.